promoters going to use wrestlers differently according to the needs of the business. But I just don't understand the pettiness of some of the promoters and the workers and the ripping down of posters and the bad mouthing and going into the business, ripping down a poster saying, "Oh, the show was canceled," and hanging up their poster and calling the wrestlers and say, "Oh, didn't you hear this person's not shutting down their show?" They're and it just and the nonsense on other people's radio shows, and I don't get it. I mean, I understand you guys are you guys are still in your infancy stage, and but I know you know the business. You are involved with UWA Elite, and like you've dealt with it, and it's petty, and I just don't understand it. So I'm going to ask you now, as you're a promoter now, how are you going to avoid the negativity from people who just they don't want you around because they feel you're stealing competition from them?
Well, I mean, there's a couple of ways to look at it. One, and this is not putting myself over. I hate to use words like that, but this is not. I'm not saying this to make anybody think I'm a great guy. I'm not saying this to make anybody think that I'm amazing. It's just the fact of it. We're not keeping a dime from this show. I'm not making a penny here. This is strictly voluntary. Right. A lot of the guys, are volunteering their time. I've got people from other promotions, other promoters volunteering their time to help out. So, I mean, this is not about monetary gain here for me. I'm not sitting here saying, well, CTW, we're going to do one really good show and one really good thing, and that'll launch us, and then we can really start competing with people. I'm not here to compete with anybody. I'm here to raise money for cystic fibrosis, and I'm here to do it by putting on the best damn wrestling show that I can.
And,
I'm not here to be a promoter.
It's going to be petty, though, if you look at it like this. Say somebody rips down your poster. I think we had this conversation the other night. Somebody rips down your poster. How can that person live with themselves knowing that this is a charitable event and they're just ripping down a poster that could help, raise money for someone who's
Kev,
sick?
that hasn't happened yet, and and I don't think it will. Not for a charity show. I think I choose to look at it like this. I try to look at things from a positive slant here. I feel like if anybody has gone and ripped down a poster, if anybody has gone, and you know what, I'm not one to put out names. Like I said, I'm in the infancy stage of this. I don't know who's responsible. I don't honestly care who's responsible. I don't feel like it's necessarily their. I mean, it's their action, sure, but it's a product of the environment, and the environment only changes when we choose to change it.
Right.
So, I want other promotions in Jersey, in New York, on Staten Island, in Philadelphia, I don't care. I want other promotions to benefit from my promotion. I want, say, Dave Swan at UWA Elite, mm-hmm. who I owe a ton to. I want a guy, I want any guy, be it, Jersey All Pro, be it Warriors, be it, On Point Wrestling, JCW, any of these promotions, to come to our show and not only, see a show for a great cause, but to say, wow, I've never seen this guy live before. Go ahead. Use him on your next show. I want the guys that are nice enough and good enough and big-hearted enough to come wrestle for CTW to be able to parlay that into more bookings, more opportunities, more exposure. I want CTW to enhance their careers. I'm not trying to lock anybody down. I don't want anybody feeling like they have to work for me and nobody else, or that somehow I'm going to stifle what they're doing. I look at a guy like Joey Janela, for example,
right?
Who's on CTW, and I'm blessed to have him. Great guy. He worked in 4 different states in the last 3 days. He was in Ohio Friday. He was in Pennsylvania Saturday. He worked in the Atlantic City area for the BWO Preacher event today, which was a great event. And he's going up to work in New York, I think, this evening at the FWE Evolve show. Mm-hmm. And these guys are busting their asses to try to make it, to try to get a couple more people to see them. And they're good, and they deserve every opportunity to. So why should I get in the way of that?
No,
I have no
right.
reason to do that, and I don't think anybody has any reason to do that. I mean, you were talking about the Warriors show from last night and the Valkyrie show from last night.
Mm-hmm. That's
a great example of promotions working together. I'm blessed enough to know a bunch of people from that show that will be involved with CTW. Chris Levin from Valkyrie will be a referee on my show, and that's great. He's a wonderful guy, and he's been invaluable with his advice to me. You were just talking about Michael Massacre at Warriors of Wrestling.
Right.
I've known Massacre for a couple of years now through the UWA Elite promotion, through Warriors of Wrestling. I've seen him grow from a kid who just wanted it to a real pro. And when the time came to put this show together, I said, you know what? I need him on my show. He needs to be here. More people need to see Massacre work. Like Rude Boy Riley, Logan Black, same thing. You watch the evolution of these guys,
right?
And
yeah,
sure, we've got names from ECW and WWE Hall of Famers coming to this show, but as much as it's about them, it's about Steve Scott. It's about Rude Boy Riley. It's about Matt McIntosh. It's about these guys, and I'm just naming the ones that come off the top of my head. Every guy on this show deserves to be here because they are working their asses off. Corvus, Quest, Dick Justice, Arcadia, Ace Perry's coming out from Indiana, for God's sake, to work this show. So why shouldn't I afford these guys the most positive atmosphere that I possibly can?
No,
I kind of am. That's what I'm saying. I'm not looking at myself as a promoter to promote myself. The job of the promoter is not to promote yourself. It's to promote the guys. Because at the end of the day, I'm not the guy putting my neck on the line in the ring. It's these guys. For entertainment, I'm just facilitating that. So it's not about me. It's not even about CTW at the end of the day. It's about the charity, and it's about the wrestlers. And that's it.
Nah, I agree with you.
84 minutes later, there's my rant. Sorry.
Nah. I mean, look, I agree with you. It's unfortunately in this day and age of independent wrestling and everybody competing in such tight zones, neighboring zones, neighboring towns, and everybody's kind of gotten so focused on the negative, they kind of forgot, what the positive is of wrestling together as one, is that you're all doing it. Everybody wants to make money. We understand that. All promotions want to make money so they can exist. There's enough money out there for everybody to exist, but in the long run, it's the wrestlers who are the ones doing the show. It's easy for the promoter to get caught up and say, look, I paid for the venue, I paid for the... But without the wrestlers, you have an empty venue. You have food that's not going to be sold. You have T-shirts that are not going to be sold. You need those wrestlers to make that show, and I think a lot of promoters kind of lose contact with that. And now that they see a show like you coming in where, all proceeds are going to a charitable foundation, and I would imagine that you're probably surviving on sponsorship. How is anything else would be so petty to even complain about?
Well, like I said, I'm not really here to, comment on how other guys do business or judge how other guys do business, because at the end of the day, like I say, I'm the new kid on the block, and if you've been around for even a year, you've done more than I have in this business as far as promotion goes. And I'm here to coexist. I'm not here to put anybody out of business. I'm not here to steal anybody's business. In fact, I'm honestly grateful, and I don't mind putting names out in a positive way. I've spoken to, I said, Dave Swan at UWA Elite, Rob Fury, who you're going to have on next week over at Superstars of Wrestling. I've spoken to guys like Danny DeMonto at JCW, Jeffrey Kane from On Point. And I've had such positive conversations with all these guys, and their hearts are in the right place. They really are. And I think that any negativity that comes out of any promotion is just is a factor of maybe fear, maybe of an old school mentality that, we better do this before somebody else does.
Yeah.
But when you get down and you talk to these guys on an interpersonal level, you know, you realize that we're all here because we love wrestling.
Right.
You know, we're all here because we love the business. And the four guys in particular that I mentioned, I've had outstanding relationships and communications with them, and I have nothing but good words to say about all of them and the places where they work. And you look, and I can say it legitimately without feeling like I'm getting down and puckering up for people. I can legitimately say something positive about any promotion that you name to me. You know, I mean, from, you know, you look at Jersey All Pro, but none of us are here if Jersey All Pro's not here. I mean, that's, you know, we're all sitting at the table in one way or another because Jersey All Pro set the table for us.
Right.
You know, and so I don't, as a promoter, have a problem going to a Jersey All Pro show, going to a show here, going to a show there. I don't really care what anybody else has to say about it, because at the end of the day, I can't put on a show and raise money for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation if the work hadn't been done before me. So in a lot of ways, like, guys will go back and pay homage to the wrestlers that came before them. I don't think there's any problem with me saying on the record, I don't care what other beef anybody has with anybody else. I'm personally thankful for any other promoter that runs. I really am.
That's commendable, and you know, I look. Anybody who's listened to this show long term knows that, you know, we've had our really good moments with promoters. We had our down point with one particular promoter, and, you know, bygones be bygones. It's over in the past. You know, I hope, you know, time heals wounds. You know, I bumped into him a couple times yesterday at the big event, and it seemed to be a kind of a positive reaction, you know, without words being said, in an exchange between the two of us. So, like, you know, I'm done. You know, to me, it's over with. Everything got aired out on both sides. It's over and done with, and it's just time to move on and understand that I'm here to help independent wrestling. I love independent wrestling. You know, I just went on a little bit of a rant about how I can't stand the female division of wrestling on TV and the crap that they're shoveling us, and how much more I respect independent women's wrestling now that Valkyrie's here, and I got to see it live, and you know, and have someone like Nyla Rose at my table yesterday, and it just shows how much work for very little that these independent wrestlers get, and how devoted they are, and nobody should ever take that for granted. And any fan that goes to these shows, you know, whether they boo them or they cheer them or whatever the case may be, just understand that these ladies, these guys, they're busting their humps for us, for the fans, you know. And without the wrestlers, we'd have to sit there and literally watch the junk that's on TV. And you know, I know I'm not the only one out there that says I'd rather spend my Friday night, Saturday night, and my $25 and watch an independent show in the state of New Jersey or New York than spend $100 and travel to the Izod Center and watch the WWE.
Well, I mean, to each their own. You know, really, at the end of the day, I mean, there's, you know, I think there is. And again, this sounds so inclusive, and I know that, you know, there are wrestling fans out there that are like, good Lord, can this guy take the dress off and actually, you know, shoot on somebody? But that's not my nature. I don't do that. You know, there's room for all of this. There's room for everybody. And if you like WWE, great. I got no go for it. I mean, they have become what they have become because they obviously do something right. Yeah. You know, if you're a Ring of Honor guy, support Ring of Honor. If you are, you know, if you like the smaller indies, support. Just, you know, get out and support. And I think that, you know, what we're doing at CTW is just proving that